going to use it?
Your Honor, this is a risk management note from the hospital, and it is describing circumstances of the videotaping. It's unfortunately one of the exhibits we would have used our lunch break for, but we had other issues. So, pertinent to this discussion is that it relates to the October 18th to 20th videotaping in the EEG room, which was just discussed at some length. And at the bottom, you can see the various approvers, for lack of a better term. You have Dr. Sally Smith, Dr. Deese, and then pertinent to this witness's testimony, you have an authorization from RISC. It says okay from RISC. It describes, in particular, the videotaping, and then it says no order relevant to this witness's testimony that there would need to be a progress note, a result, an order of some type for this not to be a failure by the hospital. And then it explains the circumstances of the videotaping and the rationale relevant to the consent to treatment, which is the diagonal right in there at the bottom right says able to do when no one was there. So it's reference to, well, that's it.
Notice.
Judge, we don't know who wrote this. We don't know for what purpose it was written. We don't know what these random cryptic notes mean. And this witness has testified that he's never reviewed the medical record to comment on what should be in the medical record or what is or isn't in the medical record. So I don't know what this is being offered for right now, but there's no foundation for it. There's no demonstration of who created it, for what purpose, under what circumstances, or for what intended result.
Well, let me ask you more fundamentally, because I know we've been discussing this particular issue for 2 years now. Is the hospital's position that this was a medical procedure?
Yeah. Yes, sir. This was part of a diagnostic procedure. We said that from the outset.
Okay, so then what's it doing in a risk management file? I mean, this is from the risk management file, right?
This is from the risk management file. I can't tell you what this is doing in the risk management file, Judge. I suspect that they were asking if it was okay to proceed with that based on the consent that was in there, but I don't know that, and I don't know what this means. And there is evidence of physicians indicating that they wanted to do the EEG video monitoring.
And after 5 years, no one has claimed ownership to this note that happens to be in the risk management file?
We think we know. I believe it was firstly no Condon. It was. I thought it was Mr. Condon. I thought it was Condon.
It would either be, well, it could be Patty Condon, it could be Louise Burns-Kurth, but
who cares? From our point of view, it's a risk management. It's from the risk management file. It states there's an okay from risk management. It identifies people involved in it. And we're putting it in for the purposes of demonstrating exactly what the court just brought up, which is if this is supposed to be a medical procedure, why is risk management bringing in Sally Smith? Why is risk management bringing in Dr. Deese? Why is risk management involved at all if this is a fairly routine treatment or procedure?
Let me just make it more fundamental. Obviously, this is a hearsay document, but it is a statement by the hospital.
correct.
So there is an exception to it. So there is a basis for it. It clearly is relevant, extremely relevant. So I don't see how I can keep this out, Mr. Hunter. What other basis are you suggesting that I exclude this document?
There's no indication of what the document means, of who created it, or what the intention behind the so-called document is. I would venture the comment that saying that this page of random notations is a document is stretching the word document a bit far. It came from the risk management file, I'll grant that, but the idea that it simply reflects someone having called risk management and been asked is this okay? And been told, yeah, that's not, number one, it's not relevant to particularly anything other than the fact that it occurred. And number two, it doesn't give this, with these random jottings, any kind of probative value or relevance.
Well, here's where I'm just not following your argument. Because this has been one of the most hotly contested issues in this case. And you're telling me that a document from the risk management file, and this is one of the punitive damage claims, talks about the video, no audio, no order, to see if she can walk on her own, suspected Munchausen syndrome by proxy. That this is not relevant? I mean, how is that possible, Mr. Hunter?
Judge, the doctors were attempting to gather clinical information. There is a notation in the chart, patient transferred to room 709 yesterday for monitoring, continues to have pain all over, but reports she was able to get more sleep last night. Her PO intake appears to be slowly improving. The demonstration is from that note that it is part of the medical record, and exactly the narrative that's being promoted is just not correct. We don't have a date on this beyond what 1, 2, 3, 4, at least a range of 6 dates, so we don't know what it was for.
Well, the jury's going to get to see it. It's highly relevant. I don't understand why we continue to talk about it. We've been talking about it for years. This is highly relevant. And
Well,
I mean, I guess yours and my definition of relevance isn't calibrated the same. So I just...
Assuming it's relevance, it doesn't speak for itself. So to give it to an expert to opine on before the person who actually put it in the record and can explain its contents, when, where, and how, and why it was done, I mean, this is just the wrong time to use this document.
Well, now that I am more akin to that type of argument, Mr. Oltenburg, but it seems like this document is pretty clear as to what it means. So I'm going to go ahead and admit 2277-068. Can we take a break?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be back in 10 minutes.
Your Honor, at least when this witness is concluded, I want a special instruction on the fact that violations of internal rules and policies and things like rights and responsibilities is not a violation of the law or actionable, but it can only be used as evidence. We need a limiting instruction on what's going on here.
Absolutely. Well, I suggest you, on the break, get Mr. Elliott on the phone, you and he start talking about this. Okay. Thank you.
All rise.